The importance of tone in Igbo music cannot be overemphasized. European languages and some other languages have stresses and accents. Such words as come here, whether it's come here or go there. Go is still go. We are. When you emphasize the accent, there's a stress level, it does not change the meaning, whether you say it high or low in pitch. But in Igbo and in many of the tonal languages of West Africa, the pitch of the syllable determines the meaning of the word. The classical example is a bisyllable word like aqua. Now there are, with the two syllables of it, you can have four variations. Either high, aqua, or high-low, aqua, or low-high, aqua, or low-low, aqua. Now each one has a meaning of its own. For instance, if you use high, aqua, it can mean tears, crying, weeping, and such things. So that if you translate a religious statement that there is no weeping in heaven, you can say aqua adịghị n'elu igwe. But if you change that tone, the tone of that first word, aqua adịghị n'elu igwe, to aqua adịghị n'elu igwe, aqua is cloth or dress or something else wearing apparel. When you then say aqua adịghị n'elu igwe, it means there's no cloth, there are no clothes there, everybody there is naked. If you say aqua adịghị n'elu igwe, that's low high. Aqua adịghị n'elu igwe, you mean there are no eggs there, because aqua, the low high, is now an egg. And when you say aqua, low, aqua, it means a bed or a bridge or something. So aqua adịghị n'elu igwe, there is no bed in heaven. There are no bridges there and such things. So the importance of the raising and lowering of the tone of those two syllables cannot be emphasized in determining meanings. If talking about crying or weeping, gnashing of teeth in heaven, aqua adịghị n'elu igwe, if you change that to another word, if you use another word, that Igwe is heaven, sky, the cloud, anything. Igwe, high, low, is now iron, metal, a bicycle. Now, Igwe is a crowd, low, Igwe. That's a multitude. So if you then say, aqua adịghị n'elu igwe, it means there is no egg on the bicycle, which makes no sense, as it were. But if you say, aqua, crying, adịghị n'elu igwe, it means there's no weeping, no crying on the bicycle, on the iron. Again, makes no sense. If you say, aqua adịghị n'elu igwe, it means there's no cloth on the multitude, which means everybody is naked. So by permutations, you can get meaningful or meaningless statements, meanings of words, by varying the tone on the aqua and the igwe. Aqua, 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 aqua. Igwe, igwe, igwe. So those variations give you different meanings. So when you are singing then, or making music with words, you must take cognizance of that variation, so don't give meaningless meanings. There's no egg in heaven. Whereas what one says, there's no weeping in heaven. There's no egg on the multitude. What does that mean? There's no cloth on the bicycle or on the iron. So such permutations will give you meaningful or meaningless statements. So the tonality of the song, of the music, will be determined by the linguistic requirement of the words employed in that song. And there are many examples, not only of these two words I've used, Aqua and Igwe. There are multitudes of such conflicts if words are not properly applied according to the tone of the language. Hymns of the church, the Anglican Church particularly, which was the first Western church to come into Nigeria, at least Eastern Nigeria, is full of such errors, you might say, of using the European tunes to sing Igbo words, which are translations of the hymn tunes or carols or anything of the sort. So that when you sing a song like Ezi Chineke ke aneke, which really is intended to say Ezi Chineke which is the true God, which is not created. But when you say Ezi Chineke, it becomes the pig of God, which is not shared. By implication, God's pig, which is not shared. Because in the olden times, the priests used to come and would get gifts from the congregation, either of lambs or goats or pigs. And they take them away because God's pig is never shared by the priest with anybody else. So such conflicts of meaning because of linguistic reasons can mislead or misguide people or can give funny interpretations. So it is important to know that the tone, the marking of the tone, high, low, or low, high, or high step, as in Igbo, the taking into account of them is important in setting words to music. So that's one thing. Similarly, when we use Western harmony in Igbo tunes, and you follow the harmonic structure with tonic dominant and such things, you're bound to get leaps or steps or movements that are maybe harmonically good in the Western concept, but are not linguistically right in Igbo. So there are such things that cause problems in setting Igbo words to music in the Western sense. So we find that parallel harmony seems to be the best option. It's not at least a workable option, but you cannot use parallel harmony in every case. It is good when you're talking about 2 or 3 parts, but when you get to 4-part harmony, parallel harmony may not necessarily do the work to let the music become satisfactorily pleasant, concordant, good, in quotes, in the Western sense. So, but if you were saying things like you're flying in tonal inflection of the language. So you can add a part below it in parallel harmony. But you cannot, even in that, that has altered the words. Well, in this circumstance, we can allow that. Music allows exceptions. and makes allowance for the poetic requirements, even to the point of sacrificing the tonal meaning, like Nne is still mother, Nne is also mother, because depending on the dialect you're using, those two are significant to mean mother. But parallel harmony then becomes something that is easily tolerable and applicable in Igbo harmonic structure. But when you have more than 2 or 3 parts, it becomes difficult to have everything in parallel harmony. Otherwise, you have what Western music, consecutive fifths and consecutive octaves and some things that are not the best way of structuring music harmonically for the ear to appreciate and love it, even amongst Igbo musicians themselves. There are other aspects of linguistics which are applicable. I don't want to go into too much theory, but you find that words that have diphthongs tend to have longer stress, longer duration in temporal duration than words that are of short syllables. So you find that naturally the duration of a tone is somehow dependent on the stress, the length of the words employed, so that diphthongs, aya, bia, aya, you see, it has a short note, aya, but yeah, which is really 2 words. Now, like it, aya, bia, we have a longer duration than I cannot think of examples that are offered, but there are numerous. So things like that are determined by language, even duration of words. There are many other aspects of the language that influence the music of the people. So I think that's enough for a layman to grab at the moment. Going beyond that, we're going to theoretical studies which are beyond our scope for this moment.